And we're live.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Professional Idiocy. I'm your host, Bharat, and I have my co-host, James,
Hello there.
and our special guest for today, NoNat.
That's my name.
Oh, this is going to be great.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here, guys. I'm psyched. I think this is the first official podcast I've ever been a guest on.
We will take that with stride.
That's an honor. All right, let's get right into it with our fact of the day that we haven't done in a long time. Did you know that pigeon poop is the official property of the British Crown?
What?
Wait, what?
Yes.
They have, ownership?
In the 18th century, pigeon poop was used to make gunpowder, so King George I confirmed the droppings to be property of the crown.
What if it's not dropped in British land?
Yeah, it just
Still belongs to
I
them.
imagine all of New York City now is just completely owned by the British Empire.
Right? And is it, transitive? Like, anything the pigeon poop touches, is that British as well?
I don't think it's transitive. I think it's just the poop itself.
How would they collect it? It dries and evaporates.
Well, if you think about it, the British spent their entire time as an empire trying to expand themselves. So if they get pigeon poop, then they can get everywhere.
Right?
India
true.
wasn't far enough. They kept going. They're like, we owed birds and just went with it.
Now, here's my question. Is this still a thing? Was this ever repealed at some point?
Oh no, it's never been repealed, to my
What?
knowledge.
That is so crazy.
That's absolutely insane. I love it. Now, wait, which bird's poop did China use for their face paint? Because if you're not aware, that's also bird poop.
I didn't know that.
Back in the day, the bright white face paint that a lot of performers in Asian countries used was made of bird poop.
Nightingale.
Really? Specifically?
Yeah, it was Nightingale.
I see that, yeah.
Am I
All right.
missing out on a whole bird poop culture? This is news.
Oh, my word.
Thing about Nightingale though, Nightingale droppings are lead-based. It's lead-based makeup.
That is not good.
So it
Their
left their
poop is
skin,
lead-based.
Damaged.
Where's the lead coming from?
Somewhere.
What are they eating?
I have so many more questions than answers now.
And I feel like that's what a good fact of the day should do. Well done, Bharat. Well done.
Thank you. All right, now time to get into the actual questions. So, as a content creator, is there anything special, compared to other occupations?
So, as a guy who worked a few different jobs, I did a donut shop, I did pizza delivery, and I did a movie theater one summer. It's definitely a lot more free. You're your own boss, you make your own content, you make your own hours, yada, yada, yada. And with that freedom does come with its own set of stress. I find content creation, it's not like work where, you might go to work or school. Honestly, it's a very similar feeling. While you're there, you're stressed. You're there, you can't leave, you don't have a choice. But once it's over, it's over. For me, one of the hardest things about content creation is, unless you're one of the huge bigwigs, your office is your house, which means even when you're done with work, you don't get to leave work. So, I'll work 10 hours straight on my computer, and I'll be like, oh, I'm done. Time to play Diablo. And I'm still sitting in the same spot. So you never get to leave work, and work is always there. And there's this constant stress of I could be doing work right now. I could be doing work. And it's, you get out what you put in. So that leads to this constant sense of I haven't done enough. You don't get to work 40 hours and make 40 hours of your paycheck. You know what I mean? It's a lot of, I just worked 40 hours. Was that enough? I don't know. I could ramble on to that for hours. But we can keep things more specific if you want.
Yeah, it's very completely understandable because, it's just you're in your home the entire time. You can't, leave home. You eventually have to come back to the place you work anyways.
Yeah, and honestly, in the last 6-7 months or whatever, It's been rough because it's hard enough to get out right now. And so I don't leave my house nearly as often as I should to be healthy. Like, I probably only leave my house every other day, every 3 days to go like grocery shopping or something. So the stir crazy definitely sets in and you start feeling kind of trapped with your work.
Yeah, we kind of get that because, like, especially with school going more virtual and as we go on, like, for us, it's okay. I finished all 8 hours of classes. All right, homework, and then
Right? Yeah.
yeah, it just goes right into that like cycle loop of like, all right, well, there's family work I need to do. There's like other stuff that we also have to do. So like we kind of get that like feeling of just like the house is now the office.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially because if you are having classes from home, then yeah, it's the exact same thing. The second you finish, you don't get to go outside, get in the car, drive somewhere else, and have that time to get into that whole different headspace. It's so hard to switch your brain on and off while you're sitting in the same spot.
Oh yeah.
For me, it's been a feeling. It's been more of a feeling of like being trapped in one place.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're
Agreed.
essentially trapped in one mindset because after like when we had school in person, you would leave school and then you would have that bus ride home to transition into like other things. And it gives you that time to like, switch, but now you're just trapped in that mindset.
Exactly. And the same thing applies to driving to and home from work. You have that time, whatever, listen to some music, put on a podcast or on a bus, talk to some friends. And, when you leave school, you might talk about homework and school, but the longer the bus ride goes, the less about school it becomes and more about, oh, what are you doing this weekend? What are you doing? What are you playing lately? And yeah, you just get that distance, which can help so much mentally.
So how do you like kind of, because you're a YouTuber, which means it's a lot of extra hours on top of recording. It's the editing, it's the, the publishing and making sure all that out. Is there like some sort of strategy you use to like decompress after like all that kind of work?
My usual go-to is honestly just been video games. What's been nice is I've been able to sort of rekindle my love for video games, which I think we're going to talk about this later, but I did video game live streaming for 2 years as my job. And after 2 years, video games started to feel like work. And I kind of fell out of that love I had for them. I still enjoyed them. But after I switched from live streaming to YouTube, I really didn't play many video games for a good month or two. And then I finally started picking them back up. And they have been that escape I've needed. Yeah, just if I can't go anywhere, at least I can lose myself in a video game and forget where I am for a little bit. And that kind of replicates the school bus away. But other than that, yeah, watching a show, hanging out with my girlfriend or something. But for the most part, even when I'm done working on Pathfinder stuff, I do keep looking at Pathfinder stuff.
Yeah, I could definitely speak to that habit of just, all right, I'm working on this project. Oh, well, here's a Pathfinder thing. I'm distracted again.
It's so easy to get lost, dude. There's so much to it. Character builds, theories, new content.
You have no clue. Between like 4 games and like a gajillion players between each of them. Oh, yeah. Okay, so one thing I did want to kind of talk about with you was so you just mentioned that you started in video games, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you did live streaming with that for 2 years. What kind of made you shift gears into like tabletop RPG and all that stuff? Because that's where your channel is now primarily focused on.
Yeah, so I have loved tabletop role-playing since my freshman year of college, which was, I'm old, 7 years ago. I technically played D&D when I was in high school. I think, yeah, a year and a half before that, when I was, either a junior or senior in high school. I played D&D for the first time, and it did not go well. I can share the story if you'd like. I haven't shared this anywhere else on the internet. If you want to be,
yes.
All
yes,
right,
Please.
So
I can attest to like playing D&D for the first time and it just terribly going.
Oh man, it's gonna be really blurry. This was 8.5, 9 years ago. All I remember is we made characters at the table, so that already took like 2 hours. We started playing, and the DM was a freshman, and he was really eager. And maybe this is just me over-exaggerating the memory, but I do remember him having a big crush on my girlfriend at the time, who was also at the table. And things miraculously just wouldn't go my way in that game.
I wonder why.
We were on a pirate ship, and already starting out, it was super railroady in just that we were on a pirate ship, and it was, okay, the pirates are having you do this now. And I think at one point I was like, what if I don't want to do that? And then I think the pirate just came over and knocked my character unconscious.
Jesus, what is this? The old like 3.5 days?
I don't even remember what it was, because 5th edition wasn't out yet.
I don't think that was out 8 years ago.
This would have been 2012, 2013. 5th edition was 2014.
Yeah.
I don't even know what edition we were playing. It
just
might have been
edition.
Pathfinder. It might have been 1E Pathfinder. I'm not positive. And again, I don't remember a whole lot of the details because we only ended up playing for probably 2.5 hours. I just remember not getting to do anything.
I hate those kind of GMs. Like, I've seen like horror stories of just, my GM hates me and this is my punishment for being here. And
and I just remember not even getting to, like, not just me, but everyone not getting to roll the dice that often. And it was much more of a, we roll when the GM tells us to. I think there was combat, but even before that, it would be like, okay, so you guys have to go pull up the anchor from the ship. And okay, you two roll athletics. Can I help? No. that kind of experience is what I remember it being. I could be remembering horribly wrong, but it just felt very much like we were playing the GM's game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's definitely like a big fear of mine because I have not been one of those players who takes nicely to GM railroading.
Mm-hmm. I will, not even necessarily consciously, I will go out of my way to screw up a railroad. If it's so hardcore railroad, I will, again, I don't do it to be like, I'm going to spite this GM. It's just part of me is so averse to railroading that if they put bells and whistles on a forest saying, this is where the story is, I'll go check out the bartender. But yeah, so a few years later in college, I met my girlfriend and she let me play Pathfinder with her group, which was my first like real time playing with experienced players. As well as I started a 3.5 campaign with some of my college friends. And I played in both those groups for a while, which was awesome. And then it wasn't really until after college that I really jumped deep into the pool, started buying my own books, started running my own games with my friends, and totally lost myself in the hobby. The downside was that I really didn't have too much time to play it. I ran one campaign of D&D Basic, which is the rules cyclopedia, if you're familiar with that.
Oh, back in the old like red box edition.
Exactly. It came out alongside Advanced D&D. They were different systems, but they came out around the same time.
Yeah.
And I still love that system. We rolled that system for probably 8 or 9 months, and unfortunately that one did fizzle out. But around that time is when I was picking up live streaming, and a little bit of background on that is that I jumped into YouTube as a, classic Let's Player, 17, 16-year-old kid wants to be a Let's Player. Gave that a shot, totally bombed, did not get anywhere. I think I shouldn't say I got nowhere. I think I got like 450 subscribers after like 2 years of doing that while I was in high school and having no idea what I was doing. And then I really abandoned it. I dropped it. I'd release like 2 or 3 videos every 2 or 3 months. It was really inconsistent. And then after graduating college, about 1.5 years after, I saw this ad for a streaming website known as ft-NoNat1s. I'm actually wearing a sweatshirt of theirs right now.
Oh, cool.
It's still not super well known, but it's a place where a lot of people stream, not just video games, but people talk music, people have talk shows. It's a lot of different stuff. But I went on there as a video game streamer and kind of was picking up speed fairly quickly. I hit, I want to say, like 1,000 followers in about 3 or 4 months on the platform, maybe 5 months. And Caffeine, the platform, took notice. And the staff themselves were very intimate. We got to know them. They really supported me. And with their help, they kept me growing a little bit. And eventually I was put on a contract with them for a monthly payment as long as I streamed so many hours, so many days a week. And, I was living the dream. I was making enough to live off of. I had an awesome community. I was playing video games every day. But it did slowly start getting to me. And there were a lot of problems with the platform. It's not a big guy like YouTube. It's a very small, in quotation marks, company. And as things started going south, I prepared some backup plans, and I'm glad I did. About 2 months before I quit streaming, I started this YouTube channel, NoNat1s. Because I had been getting into Pathfinder 2e, we'd been playing it a little bit, and I really wanted to make some content about it. And so I started doing that, like 2 or 3 videos a week while streaming like 6 days a week. And eventually, I knew that Caffeine was not going to re-up my contract. I know my stats weren't doing well. I wasn't getting many viewers. And if you don't make good enough stats, they have the right to drop you, naturally. And so I just expected that preemptively. So I started NoNat1s. I made the Pathfinder character creation video, which took off on Reddit like wildfire, which was lucky as hell. And from there, they dropped me from the contract, and I was like, hey, I'm sorry, guys. I can't afford to stream and do YouTube. And I did what's honestly not the smartest thing, but I felt strongly enough that I could make it work. I took out a small business loan. So I took out a sizable chunk of loan to afford to do YouTube full time, even though I wasn't making a profit off of it yet. But because of that, I was able to put all my effort 5-6 days a week into this channel and build it up to where it is now, where I am making enough, barely, to live off of from YouTube. And the growth is just still going strong. So I'm happy that risk paid out, because it's very possible I could have just been out a ton of money if that failed. But other than that, once I started doing content, I just haven't stopped, and it's where I am now.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Brock. Go ahead.
With stuff like content, we started the podcast. We spontaneously started this out of nowhere.
I think this was like a dumb tech stream we were going on. I can't remember what class. Maybe my first block. So
we were in a class, and then we were extremely bored, and so we just came up with the idea. Let's make a podcast. Why not?
We were like, who's will ever listen to this? And we were just like, we're gonna get canceled 20 years down the line doing this. We're all like, yeah, we know, but we'll get to it.
It's fine.
Dude, sometimes the spontaneous ideas are the best. They're the most fun, I will tell you,
this has been.
I'm glad to hear it. I will tell you, no matter what happens, whether it goes nowhere or anywhere, don't delete it. Never delete it. Even if if you stop at 8 episodes, keep it. 5-6 later years down the line, you'll want to check it out. Because I ashamedly deleted like my first 50-60 YouTube videos I ever made, and I would kill to watch them again.
So we started this I think last month, and we're almost at 200 plays already.
That's awesome, dude. That's really rad.
Yeah, looking at the stats right now. We started it last month.
Oh yeah, no, it's been like an absolute blast, because for us it's like a mini break from school. And it's like an hour or two out of our day to just get a recording out. And honestly, actually coming off that first video that we did with the first audio stream, we learned so much about how we wanted it and how important format was. Mm-hmm. And I really think we've benefited ever since we started going into a more somewhat formatted. I say that very loosely because I'm just having almost PTSD of stuff I've said just gone off the wall.
I mean, that's the nature of podcasts. Tangents and rants will happen. But no, that is one of the most important parts of content creation as a whole. No matter what you're doing, never stop learning. That is one of the things I regretted from live streaming is I got very comfortable. I knew what my fans like to watch me play. I would play them. I would just casually do it. And I kind of stopped. I won't say I stopped trying, but I definitely was not putting in as much effort as I had been. And, there are consequences from that. So if you keep learning, keep innovating, keep changing and making your content better, that is how you will succeed. And it is really awesome to hear that you guys are already learning within your first few episodes.
Our original format had 4 or 5 people per episode, and then we did the first one, and it just didn't work.
I can see that. Yeah, I try not to have too many people on a video if I can. Which is what's tough about role playing games. If you're doing an actual play, you're gonna have 5 or 6 people, and that can be a problem. I've noticed it is hard to keep everybody silent but one person at a time.
Yeah, we've recorded 2 episodes for our D&D stuff here, and that was definitely a problem at points.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, that's nothing. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna just cycle into another question, so if you're gonna say something, please go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think what people can do for actual plays that make it more bearable and easy is they record, it's so much more work, but they record every single individual person on a separate audio track. So if there are people talking over each other, they can just mute one of them and just the important stuff gets through. But man, at that point, that's like 12 hours of editing an episode.
Yeah, we've been thinking about like ways of doing that using a couple programs. It's just a lot of work.
It's a lot.
Because some of our guests only have access to like school laptops, and you can't really record anything off of a school laptop.
I feel that. Didn't stop me from trying when I was in high school, though. Let me tell you about those Let's Plays I record on a MacBook emulator.
Okay, so you mentioned before that your first ever video was on the NoNat1 channel and I'm looking at it right now, is the Pathfinder 2nd Edition character creation basics.
Mhm.
And so you said that like blew up on Reddit and stuff, which obviously looking at your statistics, it definitely did.
It's still my most popular video. I'm not even proud of that one anymore. It's not a perfect video. I missed some things. There's a lot of other stuff I wish I had said. I'll probably remake it someday.
Yeah, I was gonna actually ask you, what did you say that about from that first video moving forward? What have you like learned about YouTube or about the like content that your like fans obviously watch?
So some of the most important things I've learned are metrics, and a few things about them. First off is learn how to read them, and learn how to glean the important information from them. And two, I'm still working on this one, don't let them affect you mentally, because it's really easy. Like when the Summoner and Magus playtest came out, and I covered those two videos shot to my top rated. And, since then, Paizo hasn't released quite as much, big stuff. New classes are always going to be the biggest thing. And so the following month, especially because they didn't really announce much of anything that month, my metrics tanked in comparison. And so it's easy to say, oh, God, people don't like my content anymore. I'm screwed. But you need to look at it, analyze it, and rationalize it, saying people watched more because there was brand new stuff officially. And like I said, rationalize the ebbs and flows of your metrics, but also be able to analyze them for what they are, figure out what works, figure out what doesn't work. Like one of the biggest hurdles for me to get over is I'm not a huge fan of selling myself out, like and subscribe, guys, but it works, like the key is to take it and keep it entertaining. I always try to do some kind of joke when I tell people to subscribe, not just don't forget to like.
Oh my God, the God of YouTube ones always kill me.
I need to bring back our God, the algorithm. I haven't done an algorithm joke in way too long.
You guys heard it here first, huh? Like, subscribe, and share with your friends.
Absolutely. Share. It's Professional Idiocy? Is that it?
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah, follow Professional Idiocy on Twitter, and me, NoNat1s. I'm almost
That's our soundbite.
Steal it, rip it, go for it.
No, I think definitely after that, just going from your channel, because I've obviously been watching you for quite some time. Like, I definitely after that Magus and Summoner video, I feel like your format kind of changed because you went from like, all right, here's basics level 1. Now it's like, here's all feats. Like, and it's been so helpful.
Yeah, and I'm glad it's been more helpful because so my original intent making the NoNat1s channel was actually to do what I started doing, but it's honestly the opposite of what I'm doing now. My original analysis of, D&D channels, all those channels is so many of them are just, this is a guy scrolling through a PDF, reading the text. And I'm like, I don't want to be that. I want to give people the information they want, right when they want it, as easily accessible as possible, which is why those first few videos, my entire cleric level 1 guide is like 7-8 minutes long. Like that was the goal, is to keep them all under 15 minutes. And then when I released the Summoner and Magus video, in those, the Summoner one was like an hour and 5 minutes, people loved it, dude. Like obviously a lot of people loved it for the new content, but even going forward, I covered 6 more of the archetypes from the APG in that same format, and it was almost pretty much a majority of people preferred that content where I show the whole page and I just talk about it live rather than having my little grid background and popping up the text boxes. People enjoy being able to just have more on the screen. And along with that, just the long form content. I've learned a ton of people use it like a podcast. Like a ton of people don't even use my video for visual. They'll like load it up on their phone, put it next to them, and start doing the dishes, which is crazy. But so yeah, for a lot of those people who use it for audio, long form content is just better for them.
Is it bad that I've done that?
Yeah, no, that's totally fine because I do the same thing. I don't do it with RPG videos because honestly, I don't consume a whole lot of RPG content on YouTube because once you do it, at least for me, once I do it for a job, I like to leave it at the job and, enjoy other things. But yeah, I'll load up like a Let's Play or something. And even if I'm not watching the gameplay, I'll set it there and start doing the dishes. But yeah, and that was just part of it, of watching my metrics, learning from my metrics, and, long form content just did better. And,
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's something to be said also about change, whether it be good or bad. YouTube both loves and hates change. You need to keep it the same, but change it somehow. And it usually rewards that. It starts recommending it to different people. All of a sudden, all of my videos were getting recommended to people who YouTube thinks would like longer form content. That's a whole new branch of audience I can bring in. And that's the hardest part. Like even something that you don't think would be drastic, like a Pathfinder 2e channel doing a Pathfinder 2e actual play, those videos did sadly really bad. That's why we've actually, for now, put the series on a hiatus because the metrics were just not doing well. My average videos would get, 15 to 2,500 views in a week. Those were lucky to scrape 600-700. So it's tough because also, sometimes reading the metrics means you need to make hard choices on what to cut and what to keep doing. But if you don't pay attention to the metrics, you will fall behind.
Yeah, I totally like see that like point of view because like your channel has done like a number of like really good things, and then like I'm looking at it like right now, and you're right, like consistently those views aren't as strong, which is kind of unfortunate because I've always been in big support of like Let's Plays, and I don't know. I feel like though the main part of your channel is still very consistently strong with.
Which I'm happy about. Yeah. People seem to love, my deep dives and stuff. What I'm interested in is probably about 2 or 3 months down the line when I've done all the ancestries, when I've done all the classes, I'm going to have a couple choices to make, honestly. I'm either going to need to start reinventing or coming up with interesting Pathfinder concepts to talk about, or start branching out, which could be difficult because YouTube hates change. I did a video on D&D in the past, and because it wasn't Pathfinder, YouTube just said, no one wants to see this. It's brutal. The algorithm, for all I praise it, is a terrifying deity.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's...
what is it? We had 5 episodes up on YouTube, and then one of them was copyright striked, so we had to take all of them down.
What? All of them?
Yeah, all of them because of our
they
intro
all had
music.
they all had the same intro, so we had to replace every single one.
Yikes. Yeah, no, that's when you got to learn. Usually the hard way is what to and not to use. I highly recommend something like Ben Sound for royalty-free music. It's always your best bet.
I've just been using the most funny cop-out, and I've just been using YouTube's audio library.
Right. I mean, that works, It's there. It's free to use. You might as well.
Yeah, it's good enough.
Okay, so as a content creator, you've obviously had the chance to work with some like pretty cool people. Like, I mean, my favorite like collab of yours by far is the Jeopardy episode.
I want to do that again so bad. That was so much fun to run, dude.
You have no idea, like, because I was trying to do chores and stuff, and I have this going on in the background. Like, I'm following along, and like, here's like 2 Pathfinder people that I watch constantly. I'm like, oh, these guys are like hardcore, like they know their stuff, and I'm watching this. I'm like, how'd they get that wrong? Wait, no, they got that one right. And then I'm like, I'm playing along in my head. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know that. Or
it's so hard when you're right there on the spot. Even if you know it, you might not be able to think of it. Like, and it's tough. I mean, that, and just because we are good at talking about the rules doesn't mean we know all the rules.
Yeah.
As a GM, I've always prided myself more on my ability to quickly look something up rather than know it off the top of my head. I have such a pattern. I'm a really fast typist. I average about 105 words per minute. And so yeah, usually because I'm usually playing online, my ability to just Alt-Tab, Control-T, type in whatever, hit enter, and click the first link, I can do it fast enough that usually it doesn't even interrupt gameplay because I can usually see the question coming. So that's one of my best skills as a GM.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like that was really like a really interesting like video to watch, just at least to play along with. But so when you did that, what was it like, you know, reaching out to Krug and Basic for
Honestly,
Gamers?
It's not unlike your reaction when we talked about you reaching out to me. Like you'd think, you know, oh, they're all established creators. They must all be cool with each other. No, that nervousness of like, hey, you want to play a game? It never goes away, dude. Like regardless of size. Like the second Basics responded to me, Basics I've actually been in contact with since probably like 2 weeks into my channel, maybe 3 weeks. I would reference his video. That's right, the first time I ever messaged him, because my first few, you can still see my character creation is named Basics. I was naming like all of my videos like the basics of blank. And then like 3 weeks in, I realized, oh no, that's the exact same naming structure as Basics for Gamers videos. So I actually changed the titles of all of my videos to Beginner's Guide instead of the Basics of. And I actually messaged Basics being like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I didn't mean to steal your video titles. I was like, oh God, he's going to think I'm trying to steal his views. But no, after that, he was a totally chill guy. We haven't gotten to talk quite as much as I'd like to. I still want to play in a game with him at some point. But no, getting him and Krug on for Call Knowledge was a ton of fun. Krug was super nice in person, super fun to talk to. And yeah, just DMing them on Twitter, being like, hey, do you want to play in this game I'm making? It's really nerve-wracking. And part of it is because there's so few Pathfinder content creators right now. Part of it feels like, oh no, if this person doesn't like me or this person doesn't want to work with me, I don't have a whole lot of other options. Like I said, there's still a few I want to contact, like Collective Arcana, I really want to work with at some point, because they also do Pathfinder 2e content. But yeah, like it's tough because, you know, there is no taking 20. There is no XP to level 3 for Pathfinder yet.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to how that's kind of annoying, like being a Pathfinder player and then just seeing like little to nothing. Like, I mean, obviously there's big channels out there, you know, like you are, and obviously Basics and Game Gorgon, but you know what, like there isn't quite as big of a cult following as there is for like 5e stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I remember we were talking about like pulling guests and like who were DMing and stuff. I'm like, this guy is like really cool, and I think we will really like him to be on the channel. And their guys was like, yeah, just DM him. It's not that hard. I'm like, dude, you have no idea.
Dude, I know, but it really is that simple. And it's like, I don't, dude, like I am in the exact same mindset as you are. I'm like, just DM him. What do you mean? Yeah.
I can attest to that, because like back when we started it initially, I was like 4 episodes in, and I contacted like a bunch of the people that I watched, and you're still nervous, even if you have the mindset of just do it. It's just a message. You're still really nervous.
Yeah. What's the worst they can do? They can say no. And chances are, unless they're a jerk, they're not going to be like, no, why would I work with you?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the worst thing you'll get is either nothing or a sorry, I don't have time.
Yeah, I remember just like I wrote down this long paragraph in your DM, and I'm like, oh god, I should probably contact like our like the people who like kind of run our like media, I guess. I don't know, just like a friend of ours. And I just like contacted her like, hey, do you think this is a little too wordy? Do you think he'll like not like this? And she's like, just change this one line and it'll be okay. I send this off, and I'm like, oh shoot, okay, hold on, I might not like this. It might
This
be
is the worst thing ever written by mankind.
I'm like, I might have said I'm a fan a little too much. And then I was going through Twitter, and then I just see your tweet. All right, sorry, been a long week. I was on hiatus. I'm gonna check DMs.
Dude, I felt so bad how long I made you wait, because I
It was like
saw
a day.
that.
It was
Well, yeah,
fine.
but the thing is, I saw that message at 11:30 at night after waking up from my sedatives on my dental operation.
Oh my God.
So I was like
sorry.
still like half out of it. No, you should have seen my
Oh my
face. I'm
God.
reading it and I'm just like, this is so sweet. Yes. But I'm too tired to respond right now. Dude,
I
no,
just remember like in school, I opened Twitter to check like, all right, maybe he's seen it. Like at least it'll like tell me if it's on red, which it doesn't do. Or like maybe he's seen it, and then I just see this like this little like, hi there, I'm sorry for not responding. I'd love to do it. And then just me like, oh my God, just like slamming keys. And then I just like go into their group chat. I'm like, take a screenshot. No one will ever believe me. And just like in the chat, like freaking out for like a solid hour.
dude, I see so much of myself in you. And even though, I'm only like 7-8 years older than you, whatever, I do the same thing. Especially when I was first starting out and, someone like Basics agrees to do something with me, I do the same thing. I take a screenshot, I send it to my friends, and I'm like, dude, look at this.
You almost don't like believe it at first. You're like, is this like a prank? Like,
Are they messing with me?
Is this him? Wrong guy? Who did I get here?
Is this Faker?
Oh yeah.
Is this a bot response? Is this what everybody gets?
Yeah, that was what I was definitely worried about. Was just initially like, no, you guys are a little too small for us, and I was like, I was really hoping. You always seem like really like this really cool dude when I'm watching your content. I'm like, look, the worst he'll say is howdy, no thank you, and then just leave me on
Howdy. Howdy, no.
That would be like the worst / best text message I've ever received.
The worst that's happened to me contacting people is so I had a guy, we set up a date to record.
Oh no.
And then I asked him, he's like, "Hey, we still good for Saturday?" Nothing. No
We have
response.
not heard
He
from
ghosted
him.
you?
Yeah, he
Ghosted.
straight up ghosted us.
Oh,
We haven't heard you
no.
since. We won't say
Gosh.
his name, but like
That's fair,
we're still
but
waiting on your GM, bro.
oh my word. That's painful. Yeah, no, that is a nightmare I have. Like, I laid down to like rest because I just finished running my D&D campaign for my patrons at 4. And so, I made dinner, ate way too much pizza, and I'm like, I'm gonna lay down, just watch some YouTube and relax before the podcast. And I lay down and my eyes are starting to droop, and I'm like, nope, no. So I like set like 3 alarms because my fear is like oversleeping or forgetting or something and unintentionally ghosting someone like that. When I interviewed WASD20 on my channel a few months ago, the night that we were going to record together, I had gotten a group of like 8 friends together to play Among Us, and it was like 9:45, and I'm just like alt-tabbing, and I check my Facebook, and I have a message from him from 30 minutes ago being like, we still on for tonight? And I look at the clock, and it's 10 minutes until we're supposed to go, and I'm like, yeah, we're good. I'll be there. Cool. Guys, I gotta go.
Yeah, that video did not come off that way at all.
I'm glad. I'm really glad. That theater, well, not quite degree, but that theater training coming through.
Almost 10 minutes before we started, I was half asleep.
That's fair.
I was panicking making dinner.
James,
I'm like, chicken
James
nuggets.
messages me. He's like, hey man, oi mate, you still up? And I'm like, oh, forgot we had this. Sprint over to my desk, set everything up in like 10 seconds, and we're good to go.
Yeah. If
I'm
you're
not-
like me, that'll happen. You'll do it 30 minutes ahead of time. You'll get everything set up as fast as you can, and then you'll still have 25 minutes to go, and you just sit there in a stressful ball until it goes.
Dude, that was literally me making dinner right before this happened. And I'm just like, so I set this like at my regular setup because I was like, oh, I'll have like a cool Pathfinder backdrop. I'm like I'm not recording my room. And then it was just like, I set this all up and I'm just like, oh, wait, hold on. Now I have to like actually take time and, wait this out. And for me, it's like a ball of anxiety just waiting until like seeing, all right, it's almost 6 o'clock. It's almost 6 o'clock. And it's just like,
no, that's how it is and was for me. And whenever I would stream, 5 minutes before the stream, I would be like, I can't do this. This is going to be the worst stream in the world. I don't want to hit go live. The second I go live, though, it all goes away. All that stress, all that anxiety goes away because you're just in the moment, Like,
Yeah.
I mean, even I was stressing a little bit before this. I'm like, what if they don't like me? What if I'm a bad guest? What if I'm boring?
oh God, no.
We've only had one bad guest.
We don't mention that episode.
Oh no.
So wait, hold on. So your most recent like video, not most recent because you just did humans, but the Drunk Pathfinder reviews, YouTuber reviews Tasha's Cauldron. Is that your first time doing a big stream since your video game days, or?
So I didn't save the live stream, but I did. No, okay.
It's on YouTube.
No, not that one.
Oh,
The drunk
okay.
one, yes. It is unlisted. I never relisted that one. So for 1,000 subscribers back in August, I rolled a D20 1,000 times on stream, which took 2 hours. And that was really fun. So that was technically my first official stream. Well, I guess, no, I forgot. So a week before that, I did the character creation seminar for Gen Con, which was a live stream from my YouTube channel where I just made 2 characters, one martial, one spellcaster, live on stream for Gen Con, which is cool. I had like 60 people in there, which was awesome. But those 2 compared to this last one are a completely different beast. This one got so much support. So many people came out. I was blown away. I think we had 165 peak concurrent viewers, which was mind-boggling. The most viewers I had ever had before in a live setting was 100. And that was for a premiere. And like, I compare this to my streaming. When I streamed video games, I would be lucky to have more than 20 people live. That one was 150, 160, never dipped below like 130, which was nuts. And yeah.
So what gave you like that idea of, we're going to do 5e, but from like a Pathfinder eyes, and we're going to make it live instead of like all edited?
So it was interesting. A lot of things went into it. One of which was like, Tasha's is big. Obviously, as a creator, how can I capitalize on this without doing the same thing as everybody else? Everybody's doing my live reactions to Tasha's. So I'm like, well, I could do it drunk. That would be fun. Drink responsibly.
I think we're all a little too young for that one.
None of us can drink.
Exactly. But the big one I thought was, what if I specifically tailor it as looking at it from a Pathfinder perspective? That gives this review a different energy than the others. If all the other ones are, these 5e GMs who know 5e inside and out reviewing this, whereas I was reviewing it, with my Pathfinder lens. So a lot of my Pathfinder viewers who might not be as interested in 5e, but have probably still been hearing about Tasha's all over the place, came to join. I got some 5e people who were interested in Pathfinder to join, and like everyone in the middle. It was really, really cool. And even since the stream has been archived like on the channel, it's still doing amazing in metrics compared to everything else. So it was interesting. I'm glad it did super well. And I think the reason I live streamed it is I do want to build a relationship with my audience. I've always been a fan of having that connection and being able to talk one-to-one with the audience live in chat. It's hard to rival that. There's the Discord server, there's Twitter and stuff, but the live stream is so cool, because I basically get to make a video and everyone else gets to take part in it. You say something in chat, I respond to it, it's in the video, which is really cool. And so I just figured such an outrageous, weird, different idea might be better fit as a stream than a video.
Do you think having a Pathfinder lens offered more insight into the Tasha's bulk? Or
I don't know how much insight it gave into Tasha's itself, but it did give me a lot of cool ideas for Pathfinder. Like some of the Artificer stuff, I think could make for a really cool Alchemist subclass, or even just a new type of crafted item. You know what I mean? There's tons of opportunity for homebrew to steal from other systems, whether you're 2e stealing from 5e or 5e stealing from 2e or anything else out there. I think the best way to do homebrew is honestly to steal ideas from other systems and plug them into your system while tweaking them so that they work and balance well.
You have no idea how often I do that for my own homebrew.
It's safer, it's better, and like coming up with your own unique stuff is fun. Don't get me wrong, I love it. But it's interesting because all of these games have been specifically designed, specifically tailored, specifically balanced. So especially if you know the systems well enough, it's as easy as changing a few numbers. From D&D 5e to 2e, it's as easy as changing advantage into a +2 circumstance bonus kind of thing. So there's a lot of stuff you can steal and reflavor pretty easily. And one of my favorite quotes from history. I don't remember who said it, but I almost swear by it. Is that good artists borrow, great artists steal.
That is such a good quote.
Yeah.
I might steal that one.
It's a good one, you know? Like it's way easier to I mean it sounds so scummy, but it's really how the world works. You know, nothing's original anymore, whether you intend to be copying or not. But taking something, reflavoring it and changing it into your own is a great way to make new stuff. And especially for something like a role-playing game where you're just homebrewing it for your table, like I think it's perfect.
Yeah, I definitely see that like on Reddit, like going through the Pathfinder 2 and Pathfinder pages of just like, oh, I homebrewed this from 5e into my Pathfinder game, or look at my creation for the Blood Hunter or the, you know, Artificer or whatever cool thing is there. I definitely agree that, you know, like stealing's often like, it's honestly kind of a little fun to do,
absolutely.
especially going back into the old Pathfinder books and like stealing old content.
That would be some interesting videos to make, is taking old Pathfinder content and turning it into 2E, like conversion of classes and archetypes and stuff before they officially come out.
Oh yeah. You have no idea how many times I've done that and been dead wrong on what it is. Like I thought Cavalier was going to be much different. And then what we got in the book was much different.
A lot of people were upset that it was an archetype and not a class.
I feel like that's going to be the biggest controversy in, like, if there is a controversy in Pathfinder besides their formatting of the book.
There really is. There's a lot of controversy between 1E and 2E fans. There's a section of 1E fans who are like, okay, yeah, 2E is really cool. I like it. But you would not believe how often I get angry comments being like, everything they did for 2E is stupid and overcomplicated. Just play first edition. It's better in every way.
Hold on. Overcomplicated in first edition? I'm sorry. Are we still talking about Pathfinder?
Yeah, no, they're like, adding your level to proficiency just makes things too confusing.
I'm sorry. Let's talk about skill ranks real quick.
Imagine adding 2 numbers.
Right?
Oh my God.
And then writing it on a sheet of paper so you don't need to add it again.
I feel like
Can you imagine doing first grade math? Holy crap.
Oh,
I am confused already.
Look, you like in the heat of the moment, you quickly forget how to do basic addition when playing in a Pathfinder game. It's like, all right, hold on. What is my level plus 2? Oh my God. What is 1? Like, what is 3?
That is what people bring up in like an actual complaint is I don't like that kind of overcomplication. But
it's not.
You only do it once when you level up and then you write down the plus 12.
It's not even that. Like there's so many great online tools to even make it easier. There's like Google Sheets
do it for you, yeah.
and character tools and
like Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, they do it all for you. Dude, Fantasy Grounds, it has a steep learning curve, don't get me wrong. It's super unintuitive at first, but once you learn it, it's so powerful. It is literally like drag it onto the enemy you're targeting, and it does everything for you. Every effect, every condition, all of it. If you crit and then drag the damage, it auto doubles the damage.
That is actually really cool. No, what we're using in our home game that we play here is character PF2 tools, which is a really cool like website. It's almost like, for me, it's like D&D Beyond for Pathfinder, and it's all free, which is like, don't get me started on D&D Beyond because that's its own.
I have some issues.
I hate buying a rule book twice only for not to use it, like one physical and then once again on D&D Beyond. I feel like wasting $100 isn't worth it.
I'm upset that D&D Beyond has all rights to digital versions of the rule books. I want a PDF with art and stuff, not this weird laid out web page.
That is so true. I feel like that's where Paizo really strives in their like content, because like every PDF is at least half price, which is amazing because it's not even like full price. I remember like APG took forever to get to Connecticut, and I was just like 3 weeks after the release date, I was like, screw it. I'll pay $8 and I'll buy the APG PDF.
Yeah, dude. And Paizo, they just treat their customers so well. Like anybody, when the APG was being released and they knew that shipping was going to be slow, they, if you pre-ordered the APG, I believe, you got the PDF the second it launched, which means you could get access to it, 2 or 3 weeks before it gets to your doorstep, which was awesome. And I still, like the best day of my YouTube career so far was when I got the email back from Paizo's press being like, we've added you to the marketing material press team. You get free copies of all the PDFs that come out. And I'm like,
Can I join these people?
Dude,
I'd love free PDF.
amazing. I wasn't allowed to say it at the time. I got the APG 2 weeks before it came out.
That's
awesome.
Oh, that's so cool.
Without telling my players, when the APG came out, I threw an anti-paladin at them as a boss, which was so much fun.
Oh, that was so entertaining to listen to when you were doing your champions video and you were talking about anti-paladin.
I felt like I whined so much in those videos.
You know what? You whined, but you said everything I would ever want to say about champion. And I mean, it's kind of, I don't know how much we want to go into like physical classes because that is a good chunk of your channel, but
and we could
champion
talk about
is special. Champion is a very special place that holds in my heart. That is somehow the most controversial thing to come into Pathfinder classes.
They're so fun.
They are, but then like the alignment part kills it for me. Like, I feel like if Paizo could go back and change it, the first thing I would do is if you want at least alignment like based, have it all within one step of your deity. Don't make it actual.
Yeah,
like
that's
lawful.
always my homebrew. Yeah, if you want to be a neutral good paladin, sure, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I think they took a very differently interesting take with the champion. I just don't think for me it works well. Like I play a champion, assassin, rogue,
which is super
a billion multi-class. Oh yeah, yeah.
Is champion your base?
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, I will say champion is probably the single best archetype base, just because by leveling up you will get legendary in all armor.
That is like
nuts.
The biggest selling point for me was that like fighter cleric hybrid kind of thing. And then I had to homebrew a lot of stuff before like the anti-paladin came out because that's the now closest thing to chaotic neutral I can find.
Fair.
Yeah, but I think with the champion it's situationally good and it's a very good like basis for a class, but you have to multi-class or archetype out of it to get into a better
really
feel.
Get left behind. Yeah, their feat choices are so restrictive, and a lot of their levels just feel dead to me.
How would you like? Because you've obviously done the video. You did 3 parts for champion because it's that long.
I did not expect to go that long. It was mostly just because I was whining so much.
How would you like redesign the feel of a champion? Because I have a couple ideas, but I want to hear what you think.
I would make Divine Ally into more of a subclass kind of thing. Like, I think I would probably merge Divine Ally and the Cause, and each Cause gets one specifically, and really embrace that more. Let them do more with it, which is tough because I also don't want as much restriction on the feats. So many feats say, you know, requires this Cause, requires this Divine Ally, requires that. And I mean, with the way they're written, you know, Paladin is made for Blade Ally, Redeemer is made for Shield Ally, and Liberator is made for Steed Ally. Like, I want more from those class features, and especially Exalt and Divine Smite. I need them to be more.
Do you think that if they added like with like the Magus spell table, do you think if they made it like divine, that would help?
Like if they gave champion divine spellcasting?
Yeah, like because back in the old Pathfinder 1E days and even 3.5 D&D, like paladins had spells.
Yeah, they still do in 5e.
Yeah, so do you think that maybe adding a spell casting, because they're already kind of like half casters with their focus spells of
exactly, yeah, that's why I'm thinking they don't necessarily need access to divine spells. I love their unique focus spells. Their litanies and stuff are really cool. The lay on hands support is really cool. I do still stand by the fact that the whole mercy should be like a free action once per turn kind of thing.
Yeah, it definitely needs to be more like accelerating touch or something like that.
Yeah, like that's the thing. All the lay on hands buffs are passive. The mercy is always going to take an action, and it's only a range of touch. So unless they're within one move action, you can't use it. So
yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that. I think that if they took a more general approach and weren't so specific, I feel like champion would be like either the most powerful or like the most just well written class. If they just like, if they kind of left alignment out of it and was like, all right, this is your cause, like this is what you fight for, but leave the fighting for generalized, I feel like that's where they could kind of stride with the class.
I think they should have dived. Dove?
I don't know, just go with it.
I think it might be dove.
I think they should have gone a bit more with the deity. the deity honestly does not do much for the champion. There's deity's domain and advanced deity's domain. And aside from like your alignment, what does the deity do for the champion? You know? Even the feats that are like the level 20 feat where the shield gets sent to your deity, they repair it and give it back. There's no deity flavor there, which I know it would be tough to flavor it for every deity because there's so many. But I don't know. I think they could have might have been interesting is if each deity had a champion cause. You know, if you are a champion of Sarenrae, you're always a redeemer. Have it be based on deity rather than alignment, and then make specific feats that target, you know, that type of deity, you know, targets the redeemer deities or the paladin deities, and that would help alleviate some of the restrictions, I think. Because they could also, then they could get away with just the 3 subclasses. And even evil champions could still be paladins or redeemers.
Yeah.
Like, just assign it to the correct deity where it makes sense.
I feel like, though, it's a hard thing to write champion because, like, in 5th edition, you don't need to be a deity to, like, have a deity to be a paladin. Like, you can be... No, I think it's either flavored or homebrewed, but I think it's some D&D Beyond video or somewhere in the book itself or the player's handbook. Like, you could just, you're like, your oath is so powerful that you just now have like this like divine in quotes abilities. I feel like it's really hard to do that with champion because it's like
you are your own god.
You've ascended.
Oath of myself.
Yeah, I feel like that's where like 5e kind of kicks 2e's butt is subclasses are much cooler.
They are cooler, dude. Like the Oath of Nature or whatever that lets you be a druid.
Oh, the
paladin.
Oath of Ancients. Yeah,
that's the one. I love that one. That one's so cool.
That one's flavored.
Yeah, the problem with the champion and Pathfinder is they wrote themselves into a corner. You know, with the lore, with the way they wrote their champion, there just wasn't a lot they could do with it.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of true of like either your subclass is very freeing, like where it doesn't have an effect, like a hunter's edge for a ranger. Like that subclass means absolutely nothing to you except for like pure status bonus. Except
right, it
like,
affects a few feats and your attacks, but it doesn't.
I don't even think there's a feat like looking over a ranger. There's not a single feat that has to deal with your hunter's edge. Not one.
Oh yeah, they're all class features.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only 2 class features, level 1 and 17, and then it's like dead silent on your hunter's edge.
Yeah.
I have a ranger in my campaign, and it's like that feeling
so
of
good, dude. I love rangers.
I definitely say homebrewing for rangers is just a lot of fun because you only have to worry about 2 things and then you're completely done.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Homebrewing a new ranger's edge was super easy and super fun. Made it all about weapons with reach.
Oh, nice.
That's very cool.
Right. Now let's go into our signature question that we've had to ask everybody so far.
All right. Oh God, I didn't prepare for this one. I told you I wouldn't, but I forgot about it. All right.
Oh, I love hitting guests with that one too, and they're not ready for it.
Let's go. Hit me up.
It's even better when they're not ready for it. If you could pick 2 elements and rename them, changing both symbol and name.
Symbol? Oh, like the letters?
Yeah, the letters.
So
all right.
We're trying to develop our own periodic table. So we've had the first 2 rows done so far.
All right. I want to rename Einsteinium. Gets too much credit.
Steinium?
Einsteinium.
Okay.
All right.
I don't remember what number that is, but it's on there. And I don't know anything about the element or what it does.
You don't need to.
You don't need to. You just rename it and just call it a day.
You know what? He was clearly just thinking of his own ego when he named it. So how about Egoium?
Oh.
Egoium. Egoium.
All right. I like it. We're going to keep that. All right. And you get one more.
Oh, God. Has anyone done Radon yet?
No.
No. That was completely free.
That's one of the noble gases, right?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
God, I haven't done chemistry in so long.
This is why I told Brat when Brat was like, after we finished recording our 3rd episode where I've solved all of chemistry problems, Brat was like, we should make this a reoccurring question. I'm like, every adult guest will forget chemistry by the time we ask that.
God. All right.
And then I said, yeah, that's the point.
In complete contradiction to removing Einstein's name, I'm going to name this one Nonon.
All right.
All right.
All right. So Radon is now Nonon. I love it.
I took Einstein's name off the table and put mine in place.
That is the most badass move. It's just like
That's called a power move.
in the business we call this a pro gamer. Oh yeah, I love it.
If you need some other examples of what people have named elements,
Please.
like potassium has been renamed to
Banana
BS.
split.
Oh, I never gave them letters.
You want to? Yeah, let's do
You can
letters.
change them, yeah.
I think NoNum would just be NN.
Nice.
And the Egoium, probably EI. Oh, not still Einsteinium. I guess, is EG already on the table?
I don't see a single EG on here, so you're
Let's
probably
do EG. Good old egg.
Yeah, we've had some ridiculous ones. I personally have claimed a couple, more than one, by accident.
James has claimed 3 entirely
Four.
non-existent
Hold on.
elements.
I've claimed 4 elements that do not exist yet.
All
And then I think I've stolen oxygen and then water. Just renamed those.
What are they?
Okay, so I didn't think I was gonna swear in front of you, but just fuck it at this point. I renamed oxygen the shit you breathe in, all one word.
Okay, all right. Like
Water is now known as the bland shit. The element 119 is because I think I completely forgot how chemistry worked when that question was first asked to me. So I was like, what would the properties be? It was like, Brad's like, it'll be extremely radioactive. Like, it'll blow up in water. I'm like, boom, hydrobomb, 119. And
fantastic.
then I claimed the next 4 elements as kaboom and just spelled it out.
Literally, the letters just
K-A-B-O.
spell kaboom.
I love it.
K-A-B-O-O-M.
I love it.
Our friend Emily, who's like our media team head, renamed, I think one of them, the element of surprise and did it
That's
Yeah.
that's so clever, dude. I love it.
Oh yeah, we've had a lot of fun.
Somebody renamed titanium to Titanic.
Uh-huh.
Dude.
There was also the renaming of boron to boring.
All right, classic.
Oh yeah, no, we absolutely I love that question.
That's a fun one. I really like that question. The
It
hard
always
part's going to be
gets-
the last person when there's only 2 left.
All right, the entire fate is now on you.
Well, if it's just them, then I think we create another section.
We add more elements.
What follows after kaboom? Oh no.
Oops.
Oh. Yeah, this is gonna be.
That question has been like some of the most fun to
Dude,
answer,
That's so great.
to get answers to.
Okay.
All right. What else you got for me?
So, Bharat, you're a new player. I've obviously been playing
Yes.
I played Pathfinder since beginning of my freshman year in high school, and it was back when I didn't understand Pathfinder. That was when I had the most fun, by the way, when I didn't understand how a system worked.
It's
So it's just like
so fun learning how it all comes together.
I remember getting my ass absolutely handed to me by a Talzalworm because I was a sorcerer, and it's just like a level. My dad's like, "It's only a level 2 monster." I'm like, "Dad, I'm level 1. I have 6 hit points. Please don't like kill me." Yeah, this one like worm took out my entire party. It was like 6 of us.
Oh no.
We played until like 2 a.m.
PPK'd worm.
Dude, in that D&D basic campaign I was telling you about, randomly while traveling, I just told them they were traveling along a beach, and one of them goes, "I dig for treasure." And I'm like, "Why?" They're like, "Can I?" And I'm like, "You could try." And so I rolled on a D100, and I got like a 60, and he found nothing. And then our poor halfling goes, "Well, if he wants to, I get to too." I'm like, "Okay." And I rolled a D100, and I got a 1. And so he just dug, and a purple worm just came up and swallowed him. It was like a mini one. It wasn't like the giant tunnel boring
Oh
one.
my
Oh my
god.
Yeah, so the whole combat, he was fighting it from the inside. while
That's
they
like that
shot it.
Drax moment from Guardians 2, and he's like, "I could beat the beast from inside."
Exactly.
He's just
And-
clawing away at the inside with no effect to the monster at all.
For the rest of the campaign, his character had a phobia of anything worm or snake-like. It was great.
I'd throw like a massive dragon and just go, "All right, have fun, buddy." I feel like the frightful aura and or frightful presence, whatever it's called,
Oh,
Pathfinder,
gosh, yeah.
or oh god, That's like one of those Jeopardy moments. What is the name of the frightened condition for 90 feet of a dragon?
God, I think it's Frightful Presence. I think you're right.
Let's see how well I study.
I can casually pull up dragons here because I have access to all PDFs at all time. Do not all dragons have it?
Frightful Presence.
Yep, presence. You were right. Yep.
DC
You're a nerd.
33 on adult red dragon. No, I have Pathfinder Easy
James
Tool.
is a nerd.
Oh yeah, no, I absolutely have studied the text. I pride myself on knowing how big of a nerd I am, and then everyone
need to have
else.
you on against basics.
James has read the Bible multiple times.
If you do invite me to that, I will binge through both basics. I will actually I'll take a week off of school and just study until I.
No, you will not
go
be
to
taking
school.
a week off.
This is more important.
James.
I think the only
not
category
take a
that
week
will
off
honestly truly trip me up, and if I ever do come on, this is what'll kill me, is the Pathfinder lore, because I do not know.
Basics knows his lore. Oh my word.
That was so crazy watching him get those questions. I'm like, how?
He just has a Starstone mini in his house. Like, good lord.
I watched that category come up. I'm like, there's no way. And he's like, oh yeah, I have a Starstone sitting right there. I'm like, how do you know that?
Oh man.
Well, the problem is Pathfinder has so much lore. Actually, this is kind of one of the things I wanted to go into, about Pathfinder writing and the way that their world works, compared to the Forgotten Realms, is they're so well written. Anytime they have a culture in there, it's so well developed, and it's never that cultural appropriation thing. It's always well written into the world. The Mwangi Expanse, which is, I'm so looking forward to that magic school.
The AP is gonna be great.
You have no idea how much I want to delay our Roll for Idiocy game just so I could do that specific one. I'm like, I can't wait till June though. Yeah, I think the Mwangi Expanse is really well written and some of that other stuff. And I don't think I think that's kind of where people are getting fed up with Wizards is that borderline racism or
it's such a touchy topic, and Paizo just knows how to write it well. I bring it up in the human video, but the half-orc's monstrous peacemaker is such a good example of that, where because you're half human, half monster, you know how to talk well to these marginalized races, orcs and goblins, which people assume to be aggressive. You're good at talking between them. You're a great mediator, and I'm like, that's awesome, you know. They're not scared of it. They're not scared that, yes, it exists, but it's a problem. You know what I mean?
I honestly think that's where the heritage system works so perfect within the Pathfinder 2 system, because it's acknowledging that races aren't only from this. It's only not every sylph is the same sylph.
Oh, I love that ancestry and heritage are separate. That's so cool.
That is honestly one of my favorite mechanics, looking into it. Heritage aren't always powerful, but they're always just that extra bit of flavor that you need on an ancestry.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Back to James's original question.
Oh, was there a question?
What was my original question?
He was about to ask, do you have any do you have any tips for new players into
that was where I was going.
Man.
Into either Pathfinder itself or just tabletop RPGs in general.
Yeah, because Barat, you just got into it with our first game. Was your first major introduction into.
I'm new to Pathfinder, not TTRPGs, because I started in freshman year, and then I've been playing for 3 years, but I didn't get to finish the campaign because of Corona reasons.
I feel that. Am I allowed to just say watch my video?
You know what? You're our plug for the episode. Go ahead.
That is your plug.
I'll take it. No, for a new player, the most important thing I can ever give them is don't overthink it. It's going to be complicated. There's going to be a lot to it. Don't let the rules bog you down, and don't be afraid to ask questions. You might feel like you're asking too many questions. No such thing. If people are getting mad at you for asking questions, that's their problem. If they know they're going to be playing with a new player, then they should expect that, and that's your right as a new player to ask questions you don't understand. None of us have memorized the core rulebook. There is 600 pages in there.
Oh, that's a 640-page monstrosity.
Yeah, no, and I love it.
I can't memorize 10 digits of pi. Okay.
3.1415926. That's all I got.
Same. I can't go any farther than that.
My brother knows 100 digits, I think.
Dude, your brother That's just that's impressive.
I think he just spent like a month memorizing it one time and never forgot them.
Oh my god.
But yeah, especially for Pathfinder, don't be afraid to ask questions. For RPGs in general, have fun, man. It's so corny, and I hate saying it, but it's true, dude. Everyone's at the table to have fun. The people who are at the table to make the strongest character, do the most damage, you know, that's fine as long as it's not getting in the way. But if they're getting mad at you for screwing something up or whatever, and people aren't having fun, there's a problem. And the best solution for that is just to talk about it. You know, talk about what will work for your group. Does your group want to just use rules as written? Do they want to homebrew? Doesn't matter what you want to do as long as everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, I really get that. Like, I have friends who only do rules as written, which pisses me off at times because I'm like, if you only homebrewed in, this would solve your problem. And he's like, no, rules as written. I'm like, okay.
Which is where I got to give Tasha's a few points of, you know, respect in that a lot of the stuff they added, like, I didn't originally view it this way, but I'm learning that there are a lot of groups out there that only do rules as written. So a lot of these optional features they're adding into Tasha's are super clear, easy, obvious homebrew, but now they're in there so you can show your rules as written. Like, hey, no, I can do this, see? Like, for most people, it's not super necessary, but maybe for that occasional group, it's what was needed.
I think it kind of reminded me a little bit of the variant rules in the GMG.
I love those, dude.
I play Stamina now, and it's Stamina saved my life. Like every problem.
It looks cool. I haven't played with it myself. I've heard a lot of people are not the biggest fans of it, but I like how it looks.
I like that. I think it works well when you don't have a cleric.
Yeah, for sure. Or anyone trained in medicine. That's one unfortunate thing I do got to give Pathfinder is if you don't have someone trained in medicine or a healing spellcaster, you're kind of out of luck.
I think that also offers that like somewhat realism to what combat looks like. I like that. It's like, all right, one long rest after finding a red dragon almost dying, absolutely fine. Like,
I hate that. Yeah, no. Like even some of my Pathfinder games do play that way because they just want to keep the action rolling. But I love the realism. I love realism. I love the Constitution mod.
Fireball.
I usually play by the long rest is Constitution mod times level. That's it. That's what you get. So like multiple days. Like it's designed that after a big fight, you can take a few days of downtime, take some time off, and heal up. Like, yeah, if you're in a campaign like a dungeon crawl or something that's just session after session of fight, puzzle, fight, hazard, fight, I can see, yeah, you want the long rest to heal up just so you can keep going. But in those lengthier campaigns, I love the normal long rest system.
I don't know how much you know about 1E APs, but
Not really.
Reign of Winter is the first like campaign that I played in, and that entire like modules is now like Tomb of Annihilation equivalent for Pathfinder of just like you could tell horror stories about how long you survived. I got 4 modules in and then had a TPK like right off the first session of starting module 4. That's like where we ended our campaign. It was just like, yeah, we're all dead.
Right?
What the hell?
Just start with all new characters.
I can bet money that our cleric hates us by now.
Honestly,
with all the crap that we've done, our cleric hates us.
Okay, so NoNat, for context, I have a really bad condition called rolling high against players.
I feel
It's
that.
rigged. He has loaded dice. It sucks.
I suffer from that, or I suffer from rolling garbage. I specifically roll garbage in boss fights.
Really?
So my random little chump enemies will almost TPK, and then my big, specifically custom-made boss will only roll 1 through 5.
Yeah.
We almost got TPK'd by goblins.
Yeah.
I hate this game.
Well, to be fair, I misjudged slightly your encounter size because one of your players left. I feel like
Ooh, that'll do it.
It was balanced until there was like 8 goblins versus 3 of you, and then it was like Mikkel couldn't roll to hit.
Like 3 on my own.
Yeah. So Barat plays like a swashbuckler who never uses panache apparently, which is like
shush. I've just forgotten about it. Okay, I've just forgotten about it.
Oh yeah, so no, it's really fun as like the GM to just like figure out like what does not work at a party.
And it's just so hard too though, because even if you're slightly off balance and roll too well, you could kill. But like I overtuned this earlier today. I overtuned a monster. I made it way stronger than it should have been. It had resistance to damage. I gave it double its normal hit points and upped its damage and gave it new spells and abilities. And it missed every single attack. It had a plus 15 to hit against our level 3 party. And it missed every attack.
It should be like an auto hit, like at that point.
No, if it rolled like a 7 or higher, it would have hit like any of the party members. And I missed every attack.
Oh my god.
Who was it? It was you, Barat, actually. Okay, so they all leveled up to 3, and Barat is like over here bragging, like, oh yeah, I got like a plus 10 to hit now. Like, my armor class is almost 20. And I'm like, I sent him a picture of a level 5, I think it was like a polar bear. I sent him off a picture, like the plus 5 modifier, like plus 15 modifier. I'm like, yeah, keep talking. I got like these guys for days.
Oh man, it's great, dude. Like, I mean, that's one of the most fun parts of Champions is being able to bulk up that AC. I think same with monks.
Ooh,
our monk could not hit for shit. It was hilarious.
You want to talk about something funny with the monk?
He could not hit for that whole encounter. He got unconscious.
That's my favorite part is that he wrote the characters like, I'm this badass. And
yeah, this guy.
No, you're not.
And then like I think 3 turns later, I went unconscious.
That was from some very unlucky hits.
Brilliant luck of fate, rolled a nat 20 back up with 1 health, and then ended the encounter.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the boss fight against that necrotic guy was even closer.
I love those fights, dude. They're so satisfying when they finish.
That's how you tell a good story. Is just make
right.
My honestly GM philosophy is beat the shit out of the players until like they have a fun time.
Yes,
they don't they find like easy combat boring. Like all right,
exactly.
Easy. I found that out the hard way. Like I play Iron Gods, which is like a kind of like a Delge and Dovey campaign. There's a lot of mini encounters, so I scrapped half the mini encounters. Just like. It's gonna be big fights the entire time. Have fun.
Yeah, because they're more fun. You know, in a video game, it's fine to run into 1,000 little goblins because it just, it feels good to, press the buttons and perform the combos. But in D&D, you really need those multiple cinematic moments. You can only decapitate a goblin so many times before it gets boring.
I was terrified for my life.
I've made it. I have done it.
No, but the dumbest part about that whole encounter is the amount of damage we did, and then one of the PCs just did Grim Tentacle and healed him up entirely, and it was so bad.
So anything with so I threw a plague zombie and a giant skeleton at them at level 1, and I was like, this is gonna be a fun counter. They're obviously gonna survive because it's story. I knew because we have to actually like keep recording after it, and I'm like, all right, I'll throw a plague zombie beefed up and a giant skeleton. So plague zombies have negative healing damage, like heal on negative, which is like vampires and some other things have. And then my friend who hasn't played Pathfinder in like a year or so was like, I cast Grim Tendrils. I'm like, okay.
Is that negative damage?
That's negative damage.
Oh no. Dude.
Healed my boss.
Healed up everything we did.
I can't even make fun of that because in my session today with my big boss, he was surrounded. He was a vampire, a full-on vampire, surrounded by the player characters. And I'm like, all right, this is gonna be good. And I cast crap, what was it? The something decay. What's the spell? It's the primal spell.
Corrosion?
Nope. I should have had this prepared. I am apologizing.
Don't be. This is me freaking out too for not knowing.
I am the only calm one.
Yeah, it's true. Sudden Blight. Not at all what I thought. But yeah, so he quickly just casts Sudden Blight directly underneath him. 20-foot burst, 2d10 negative damage on a fortitude save. And I forgot that A, it was negative damage. And B, half the party was Dampiers.
Oh no.
So I just healed half the party. I hurt the other half, but half the party just heals 10 HP and they're like, oh, thanks.
That is so great.
But like, oh god, like it even made sense for the campaign. Like the vampire wouldn't have known they were Dampiers, but oh my god, as a GM, I was like, wait a second.
Hey, I may have forgotten about Panache, but I remember Disarm.
Oh, that came in really clutch for you guys. I gave it like the crystal skull kind of thing, where it's like he controls the giant skeleton through the scroll crystal necrotic item MacGuffin, whatever.
Mhm.
And Brat was like, so I'm like over here like draining energy out of this thing. I'm controlling the giant monster in the back. It's all fighting like the artificer and the cleric. I'm like, oh, that's actually the one time a cleric domain has come in handy, by the way. I'll explain that in a second, because you've
All right.
said, I know you've said they're all trash. There's one time
90%.
where I got pissed. I got pissed at my cleric for having a domain spell. Brat was like, okay, I disarm him. We're like, okay, make her check. Critical success.
Ooh, that means you get to take it, right?
It's not even take it. It's auto disarmed. And I narrate it. So like he like cut off the dude's arm.
Nice.
And then it just like the thing broke. And Brat was like, oh, that was probably controlling the giant monster. I'm like, dude, I didn't even think about like the control of it. And like, now it does.
Then it just goes berserk.
Oh yeah. There's a fate domain delay consequence, and I rolled a natural 20 on the cleric and did like a buttload of damage, like 18 damage, which is, I know sounds little, but level 1 is like a lot.
Oh yeah, level 1.
She used that on me. It was like, all right, I'll just heal during my next turn. And then just like, I'll drop unconscious later. And it's like, because it's like delaying your pain for like a round. And
That's
just
cool, yeah.
cast heal on
And that-
herself, and then just like, boom, right out.
And then she just dismisses it after the boss dies. Just dismisses the spell.
Yeah, she dismissed it early just so she could get the healing potion in her like body faster. I'm like, you jerk.
That's
And
awesome.
then wait, did you explain what happened? Because my internet cut out there.
So, oh, what happened to the zombie? Yeah, it just started losing limbs. It's
Yeah.
like
Nice.
nothing.
Like first his like arm went, and then I went for his other arm because I'm one-handed, so I made him one-handed.
Nice.
And then I made him no-handed.
Thing in my game is rolling exact damage.
Oh, I rolled an exact 4, and then James was like, God.
Because
you
they have
fiddler."
weakness to slashing damage. And so slashing 10, 14, it only has 14 hit points left. It's at 0. And these guys keep rolling the exact number of how many hit points. Like, leave me with 1. I get one more round with it if it's still at 1. It's very much like that.
It's definitely an interesting mix as GM. Like, yeah, I love to see you succeed, but I want to keep playing too.
Yeah, like these are my little toys. Like,
stop breaking my action figures.
that's definitely like the whole mood of just being a GM.
That's great.
I don't think people realize like your job as the GM is to constantly get your ass whooped.
It
Like,
really is.
always,
The GM almost always loses. And when they don't lose, it's usually really unfortunate.
It is, or it's like Empire Strikes Back, where it's like really interesting and then sets up a great new opponent
Yeah.
in the campaign.
Yeah, no, I do love when player loss and failure does not mean death and end of the campaign.
If Avi was on here right now, she'd tell you why she's pissed at me because I accidentally killed one of her characters by using channel. I used divine font, but it was like a cleric, so it was negative energy. I accidentally killed her with it, and like now it's like set up this great new chapter in the campaign with the character. And it's just like I keep getting. She's like, "I'll make a druid next time, and I'm just gonna make you really angry." Like, and I was like, "Whatever you do, do not go wild order." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "You have no idea how complicated wild shape is."
Dude, wild shape is I'm not a fan of wild shape in 2e. I'm really not.
It's weird. It's weirdly worded, and honestly,
And you need all the other feats to make it unlock different aspects.
that was the most. I think that's where APG kind of saved the cleric for me. Not the cleric, the druid, because in the core rulebook, your order is your druid, and that's it. Like I know there's technically like order bending with that one, like
order explorer,
yeah. But like besides that, every other feat's your order. Like it's so
Yeah, if you want to diversify your druid, you need to take order explorer.
yeah.
Like, otherwise, you're pretty much stuck down a pretty linear path.
Yeah, I
That's fair.
think wild shape is definitely either. I can't tell if it's overpowered or really overworded, and it's really hard to tell.
I think it's overworded. It's overly complicated how it works at first, and then it's like if you have pest form, yada 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 yada. If you have fly form, da 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 da.
Oh my god, that is gonna get really annoying as I go later in the campaign because because I was writing druid, it was like if you have dinosaur form, add like pterodactyl if you have aerial form. Like
Yeah, it's
like,
a lot.
It's too much. I feel like that's like honestly like where Paizo kind of loses it is they're so quick to overword it that they lose that like new player like
It's true.
coming into it.
A new player can be easily overwhelmed depending on what they look at first, which is, yeah, if they look at the wrong thing first, if they look at Druid first, or I'm trying to think of the other most complicated class.
Oracle.
Yeah, if
by
they,
far.
God forbid, a new player looks at Oracle.
I have a new player currently looking at Oracle. I'm like, don't do it.
It's so complicated. Oh, God. Keeping track of your curse and everything, dude. It's brutal.
I felt like it was much better handled in the playtest than it was in the actual.
I never did the APG playtest.
I only stole it to look at it. I feel like somewhat the playtest for 2 classes was better. The Witch and the. Actually, hold on. The Witch is its own separate tangent of why I don't like it.
Yeah, I think
don't
the
like-
Witch is too similar to the Wizard.
I think it's either too similar to the Wizard, and the Patron should be more like your Cleric, where it has more of a direct impact, not like. All right, your lesson is a feat you have to take, and none of the lessons have to do with your patron. And
here's 3 focus spells.
yeah, like I don't mind the hexing. I don't mind like
the
that
hexes are
feel.
really cool. I like that. But
I just don't
the
like...
patron doesn't do much. It's more roleplay, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I don't know. For something about that, like I feel like that's where like Warlock kind of gets better.
Yeah, I do wish Pathfinder had a Warlock for sure.
I feel like that's why I homebrewed a Warlock into the like Pathfinder 2 system, just because I'm like, Witch is kind of dumb. Just like straight up. Just like it's a wizard, more steps, your patron's kind of lame. And then I play Age of Ashes, and my friend's like, I'm multi-class Witch. I'm like, have fun.
Yeah, I'm overall not a fan of familiars in Pathfinder. They're fun for roleplay, but overall...
Mechanics-wise, they're nothing.
Yeah, mechanics-wise, they're mostly just an extra reagent or an extra spell slot or something.
I used it so you can cast cantrips through your familiar, because at least gave them a mechanical...
I think witches can do that, I think, right?
Yeah, I don't even know. The Witch is like one of those classes like I skim through.
Yeah, I still need to research that one in the Swashbuckler for the videos.
Swashbuckler's fun.
It looks cool, yeah.
It is so much fun to play.
It's
even though I've forgotten half of the character.
Okay, so what is some like regular Pathfinder games do you play? Is it mostly one-shots for you because of your editing recording schedule?
I play primarily campaigns. I actually don't play one-shots that often because me and my friends have a problem where we play a one-shot and get so attached to the characters, it becomes a campaign. But no, so right now I'm playing, we just finished up our first campaign with my primary group. It was a completely homebrewed one. It was really fun, called Sands of Kadira. It all took place in Kadira. And I rolled with our champion being of Saren Ray. Rovagug, the god of destruction, was slowly waking up, and so they were like sort of slowly uncovering all this junk going on of this underground group trying to resurrect Rovagug, spawning these really unique enemies that I homebrewed, which I think are official in Pathfinder 1e. I can't remember what they're called, but they're these giant gelatinous, kind of like spiders with 4 spider legs coming out of a human head instead of a body. And the human head has eyes, but no mouth, and the mouth opens on the scalp.
Face spider?
They're terrifying, and they were awesome to use. And so they fought it as like a boss fight at like level 3, and then at like level 8, they fought like 5 of them at once. And the final boss was a devil that had been possessing people and making it happen, and then they captured it. But yeah, so sorry, I like telling that story. We finished up that campaign. And then we've just started one where I'm actually getting to be a player, which is really fun, playing my dirty fighter. And so I play in that one once a week. I play in a 3.5 campaign once a week. That's Tuesdays and Thursdays. Every other Saturday, I run a patron campaign, and every other Sunday, I run a patron campaign. Those are my 4 right now. I did have one going on every other Saturday, but that one has been put on hiatus.
So what's exactly like not only doing Pathfinder professionally, but then going out of your way to keep playing TTRPG into your own like personal life?
It's interesting because every game is so different. Every TTRPG session is so different from themselves. So even though, 3 of my campaigns are using the same session, every campaign is so different. They don't feel like the same game. And then 3.5 obviously has different rules and stuff, but along with that, they're all with different people. So the vibe of the group is completely different. The adventure is completely different. The characters are completely different. And so that, along with just my work being primarily mechanical right now, I'm mostly going into the mechanics of how the system works, it's not interfering as much. Back when, like, I live streamed video games, a video game's a video game. You'd be playing a video game. Even if they were different, it'd still feel like I should be playing this for my job right now. Making videos is, in my opinion, far less stressful than live streaming. Because live streaming, you have to be at 100% all the time. Videos are like, I can take it easy. I can break it up into multiple parts of the day to work. And I don't know, it's easier to separate videos from my games than it was to separate live streaming from my games.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Does it ever feel like when you're playing games, does it ever feel like, I could be making content of this, or like I should be making content of this? Does it ever feel like that?
Video games or TTRPGs?
TTRPGs.
Not really, no. If anything, when I'm playing Pathfinder, especially, it makes me feel I'm learning. It's almost like I'm doing research when I'm playing, because the more I play, the more experience I get. The more experience I get, the more confident I can be in my content. A lot of my content, I'm honestly not as confident in as I wish I could be, because I haven't gotten the opportunity to play Pathfinder that often. I've GM'd for months on months now, multiple campaigns. But this campaign is the first official campaign where I get to be a player. I've played in 2 other one-shots before this, but this is the only campaign I've ever been able to be a player in. So I feel like that does skew some of my judgments on classes and archetypes and what I think is strong versus weak, because I'm viewing it purely from a godlike GM status.
Do you think your top 10 class video would change now, depending?
By now, probably not. Ask me again after I finish going through all the classes in my deep dives, because I have like more respect for the bard now that I've gone through like every single thing start to finish in one long go. But I still don't think it would make it into my top 10, just because I'm not a fan of Pathfinder bards as a whole. But what's beautiful is other people really are. I had a pair of comments in my comment section on that video. The first person said, oh God, what was it? It was like, how could you put champion and bard at the bottom? They're the 2 strongest classes in the game. And then someone else responded being like, I don't think so. They really seem to be suffering the most. And I think that calls for a very balanced system, in that people are defending different classes. Some people one person's weakest class might be somebody else's strongest. And that amount of disagreement might be a testament to the balance. Everyone sees things from a different perspective, so power is relative.
Yeah, I definitely think certain people who like certain play styles do very well with certain classes. Like I love half casters, so like monk and champion will definitely always be like some of my top.
Yeah.
I do think you're right though. Like I didn't even think about it until I watched that top 10 video, how broken fighter is at level 1. And if you think about it,
5,
yeah, if
and
you
at level
think
13.
Yeah. Eventually they get better at punching things than monk.
They start better anyway.
Yeah, I know they start. Actually, that was a huge problem in my Age of Ashes campaign. My GM went off on a tirade. It was like, how could they be better than hitting a monk? I'm like, monks already have the best AC with expert already. It's just like, but I didn't even think about it. They eventually could get legendary in punching if they wanted.
Yep. Not even if they don't want to. It automatically happens. Huh? No, because at level 19 they get versatile legend and become legendary in everything.
I completely forgot about that.
Automatically. See,
fighters are so broken.
Yeah, no, I think fighters, their unarmed strike should have been at trained, and everything else should have been at expert.
Or at least put it up to expert. Like I would not go higher than that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. Fighters are weird. Like people always say, like, well, of course they're more powerful. That's all they do is fight. That's not true. Fighters still get decent amount of skills, decent amount of options. They can still archetype into anything without losing that power. They can archetype. Again, my build is going to be absolutely broken because as a dexterity-based fighter with Eldritch Archer, then my +3 bow with legendary proficiency is my spell attack roll too.
Yeah.
So the spell attack roll on that is going to be completely higher than any other wizard or anything in the game.
I definitely think like they also got a lot of powerful feats at like starting level 1. It's like power attack, sudden charge. Like they're like Paizo was like, we're gonna make sure the fighter knows its place, and it was just like, and then it was just like, yeah, its place at number 1, powerful like power attack.
Yeah, I mean it does what it does, but yeah, like a magic weapon power attack level 1.
What
insane.
do you think actually of not having subclasses for fighters and monks? What do you think of that? Like,
I
idea?
forgot monks didn't. Yeah. I don't mind it because their feats almost are their subclass. Like fighters have two-handed feats and dual wielding feats and bow feats. And so that sort of your fighting style, like from 5e, basically is your subclass. You know, you specialize in two-handed or dual wielding. But what's cool is you can mix and match and trade away some raw power for versatility. An idea I've always had is a fighter with a longbow and like 2 short swords, and just with the I think it's like twin parry or something like that. For like a quick action, you could drop your bow, draw your sword, and attack both enemies that are flanking you. I love that. I can't remember what it's called, but I love that feat that lets you attack 2 enemies flanking you. And with how easy it is to drop a weapon and spend 1 action to draw one, you can make a very versatile character.
I think that's good. Sorry, I think that's really interesting because it almost feels like Pathfinder hates dexterity-based characters.
Really? Why do you say
that? Or at
that?
least builds, because like my friend wants to play like a monk rogue, but like there's only way you ever get damage with your dexterity is through the rogue racket thief. Like it's like I understand prioritizing like strength in 5e is kind of like a lesser stat because like, you know, it's not used for very much because your dexterity can solve everything in 5e. But like I don't know, I think like making dex builds is ultimately like really hard. I think like
it's definitely tough. There are feats that support it, you know, like on my fighter I have point blank shot on my short bow, so I get +2 to all my attacks. And if you certain weapons are good for it, you know, like my short bow has deadly. You know, if I critical hit, I'm rolling 2d6 plus 1d10, which is really good. No, it definitely hurts. It hurts rogues that are not thieves pretty badly, in that, you know, using a dagger without a lot of strength is pretty much pointless. It's rough.
Though rogue rackets definitely kind of made up for that with the key ability score being so versatile.
I love that. That's another thing I wish they did with champion, is that your cause determined your key ability score. I think that would have been cool.
I feel like if they went more in that and more what I call like tradition bendy classes where like sorcerer witch, like they can cast off of any tradition. I feel like if you kind of brought that into some other classes, I feel like an arcana cleric would be a really cool, like if you pray to if you pray to Nethys, which is like the god of magic, then it'd be cool to have like that arcana caster. Or
yeah, it gets difficult though, because at that point every spellcaster starts to blend together. I'm already not a fan of the sorcerer in 2e. I don't like that they can use every single spell list, because in my opinion, sorcerers are better bards, straight up. Like I think the sorcerer is just stronger than the bard. An occult sorcerer can do more.
This is where I'm going to disagree with you. I actually find it way better written in Pathfinder than other systems because of the fact that with that bendiness, it also gives your bloodline that much more significance. Where like every sorcerer in 1e could cast off the same table, but like if you're born into divine magic, then you should be casting divine spells.
Yeah, flavor-wise, it's great. It's fantastic. Mechanically is where I have the issue.
Yes, yeah. It's the glorified bard essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. It's impossible to find a perfect middle ground, you know, unless you come up with some brand new mechanic, and it's just so hard to balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love the flavor. I love that your bloodline determines what type of magic you use, but it struggles with how they built the bard. And I think part of it is just in my issue with their bard. You know, the bard is just a spellcaster now. Like, that plays music.
I feel like, though, in other editions, you kind of got that vibe of a bard doesn't know what it is at all. Where
I liked that, though. The bard had a little bit of combat prowess and a little bit of spell casting and a little bit of thief abilities.
Yeah, I didn't think it was like terrible in the way they like designed mechanically. I think like though like warrior muse, it kind of went into that a little bit better. Slightly, it's a step in the right direction, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah.
So besides
yeah.
like the formatting of the like physical book itself, which I've heard is like the number one Pathfinder complaint, which I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't see it as bad, but like it's
Oh,
there.
that's good. It's bad. I love the system dearly. It's so bad.
It is. What else do you think would be like the biggest like hurdle that players have to like go through to really like love the system? And how do you think like creating that Pathfinder content will help some of these players who are just like, man, I can't understand what half this book is saying?
I think your first 5 or 6 combat sessions are going to be a slog. That might be one of the hardest things. Nobody knows what to do, how to do it. Like, I'd say your best way to get through that, especially, I mean, you know, if you're taking in Pathfinder content, learn your class, learn what you yourself can do on your turn. The less time you spend thinking about what you can do, the better you can think about how you can do it. You know, if you already know your spells, or your go-to spells off the top of your head, then you don't have to go searching through your spell book for which spell is best to cast in the situation. And you know your bonuses and everything and your range increments and whatnot. But what's also interesting is even now, even like 9 months into the system, God, it's November, 11 months into the system, I'm still learning stuff, which is really cool. Something I learned a week ago. 2 weeks ago. I did not know you could shove somebody while you're grabbed.
Can you?
Yep. If somebody succeeds their grapple check on you, they have you grabbed, not restrained. And grabbed does not inhibit any kind of attack roll, including shove or trip.
Huh.
So to get someone off you, you can make an athletics check to shove them 5 feet. And it makes sense. You know, if they just have your shoulders, you can shove them. Now, if they have you
thought about it like that.
Yeah, if they critically succeed and have you restrained, you know, they have your entire body wrapped and bound, yeah, you can't shove them. But yeah, if you are just grabbed, which is super helpful because a lot of monsters have the auto grab ability, you can shove them off. It's great.
That is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think like your content can kind of help these like new players?
It's tough. I in the future, I plan to make another beginner's guide, like round 2 or something, whether it be the same kind of videos now in higher quality, or just covering more beginner-friendly content. But my content right now has just been to get the information in an audible form. Because I know a lot of people are auditory learners, not necessarily visual. You know, reading a book isn't super effective for everybody. Sometimes they need, you know, a teacher to tell them. That's why school exists.
Unfortunately, but yes.
So my goal right now is just to get all the classes, all the races, all the archetypes, you know, all of that just in spoken word almost audiobook style. And then once I have that out there, I think I'll go back and I'll make a more cohesive beginner's guide. I think I'll make a start to finish, like, hey, if you want to play Pathfinder, watch the videos in this order. And yeah, I'd like to make it bigger, maybe involve some other YouTubers in it. Could be fun. Make it a much bigger thing than it is.
You could essentially just make your own podcast and talk about this on there.
Dude, podcasts, I'm sure you know, they take time, man. They take so much time. Like, especially because I'm a perfectionist, so I like to go in, I edit out every single or O's.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, no, I do all of that.
I definitely haven't been doing that.
But that, just trying to find the time to do that on top of everything else. Because, you know, 2 hours to record, which means if I'm editing everything out, that's a minimum 2 more hours to edit. And all of that, it's a lot. So I just unfortunately don't have quite the time. And I did try a podcast for a little while back, but it just didn't interest me as much. I wasn't a fan of how much research and prep went into a video of that something of that length, you know? You know, my videos, I like doing my quick first impressions or like a 10-minute video that I researched for, but an hour plus rant of research is tough for me.
Yeah, I can understand that. Like we have barely done any research here at all. Like I'll just look up interesting facts. We'll start with that, and then we'll look up any like interesting current events, and we'll go from there.
I mean, that's fair. That's absolutely a genre, I guess is the word, of podcast. Yeah.
Like We've had discussions on like how we could just record on normal conversations, upload them to the internet, and then people would love it. And that's what we've been doing.
Dude, it's solid, especially if you have good chemistry with the ability to play off of each other and don't have any awkward silences. You can absolutely do it 100%. That kind of constant conversation is what people look for a lot of the times.
7 years will give you that constant conversation.
I bet.
I think like the one time we've had like an actual like lull was like in our 3rd episode, and then I just started going off on like chemistry rants, and then it was just like that became like my most fun episode to record after this. Like now this is number 1, but like number 2 is just like that constant like here's 45 minutes of Brat and I just dying of laughter as I just make crap up on the spot.
Oh god.
We made up everything for that episode on the spot as we were going into it.
I love
GM like that. It's awesome.
Yeah, same. Honestly, I don't do it quite as much for my patron games because you know they're paying to play. I want to make sure they have a good experience. But usually when I'm playing with my friends, I'll write a couple of sentences that I want to happen and maybe plan out an encounter. But other than that, I just let them go. Stuff comes up as it comes up.
We've seen James's note sheet of paper.
I have a single sheet. I have a single sheet of lined paper that's like a page and a quarter long, and that's the entire campaign. And then nothing else is planned.
That is our campaign for the next couple of weeks.
Oh, it's great, dude. I love it.
My logic for that is you can't derail a campaign that it was never on rails.
It honestly helps you as the GM not accidentally railroad, because it's easy to accidentally railroad something. I usually just paint a couple of pictures. Like in my patron campaign, even I was like, hey, there's stuff going on in the mine. You have a note that's related to this town down the way. And also there's a main villain in the big bad area. Do what you want. Yeah.
It's like a Zelda game.
Exactly.
There's a big bad somewhere.
Right?
You find him, you deal with him.
Right? You don't have to go straight there. You can if you want to die, but you don't have to.
Yeah, Ganon could wait for like a day.
All right. So we've like bombarded you with questions for around what seems like 2 hours now.
Just about.
Yeah.
Wow,
and
yeah.
And now I'm asking you, do you have any questions for us two? Anything is on the table.
You didn't warn me.
Oh no, this was something I wasn't even knowing about. It's for like 2 minutes ago.
All right. Favorite RPG classes, go.
Okay.
Not just Pathfinder or D&D, like in anything, in video games, what have you, your single favorite RPG class. Personally, it's a wizard.
A half spellcaster, half martial, because I want
like a spell sword.
I want to be a little bit of good in everything.
Oh, so you like a 5e bard?
Yeah.
Usually I'll just go with like a normal sword fighter, but eventually, I forget what game I was playing, but they let you use a guitar as a sword, so it was great.
What Final Fantasy game did you crawl that out?
I have no
barbarian.
idea. They just let you use a guitar as a sword, and it was great.
That's amazing. I love it. God. Questions. I have to be entertaining. Favorite food?
Taco.
And?
That's it.
Yeah, taco's good.
Tacos are fine. Burritos are better.
I get pizza customly imported from Chicago that I eat about once or twice a year. That's number 2.
Are you serious?
Yeah, there's a pizza shop called NoNat1s because my parents grew up in the Midwest, and every year I order maybe once or twice. I spend like $100 and I'll order in 6 pizzas and just freeze them.
Dude, that's awesome. That's
all the
great.
way from Chicago. This man has ordered pizza.
Do what you love.
Deep dish pizza. It's its own level of heaven.
The fluffier the pizza, the better. Fact.
Oh yeah, that is.
People
I'm lactose intolerant. I love this.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Back in like 7th or 8th grade, James would just flex. Let me put this in quotation marks, by the way.
All right.
I'm about to die.
This was like lunchtime, and he'd just chug like a carton of milk.
What? Oh God.
To be fair,
and then it would annihilate our noses in class.
Oh,
like we'd be sitting in class, James from the back.
What's worse is I'm a very like rogue person IRL, I'm 90% sure I'd sneak a like lactose pill right before I drank
You
it.
did that, yeah.
And it's so sad now in front of this, in front of a almost complete stranger.
In front
Just
of
like
hundreds of people and me.
yeah, it's just like James farted a lot.
Hey, once it's a secret, you don't need to be embarrassed anymore. Or once it's public, it's not a secret anymore.
Yeah.
I think one of the funnier things we did in middle school, we explained back in episode 4, our like spooky podcast.
We'd prank Calvin.
We pranked one of our friends, like extremely elaborate prank.
Oh, all right. I'm interested.
I just pulled one of those off recently on another friend too.
Okay, we'll talk about that one later. But the old one was about like he had a terrible fear of clowns.
Oh no.
So everybody decided to put clown makeup on my face.
Oh.
I masterminded this, by the way, so prepare for your like whatever expectation to be lowered.
There was like a whole thing, like it was like a James Bond movie, man. That's what it felt like to us. Holy
Suited up.
Like we made sure no one close to him found out the plan. Only people within our group knew, nothing else, and then I chased him around the parking lot.
Oh no.
That was the best.
That so sounds like the worst day of my life. I don't have like a clown phobia, but man, anybody in clown makeup running at me would terrify me.
He was talking about it in episode 4, and he was like, "Guys, I literally almost pissed my pants that day." It's so funny.
I'm so proud of that. That was one of my better ones.
So we got him during lunch, and then he was like, "Oh, okay, he's gonna take the makeup off because it's like we're gonna have till the end of the day." But then we sat down in English class, and the teacher was like, "Since tomorrow's Halloween, today's the day off." So we made the makeup like 4 times better, and then we scared him.
Well, you did it again?
Yeah, no, what's best was me and another friend, Isaiah, who's like really close friends with Calvin. We went out first.
We held him down
while Barat just barreled out of the school. I swear to God, it was like watching the Kool-Aid Man like burst through the door.
Oh yeah!
Oh my God, you're the worst.
I almost got kicked. I almost got like kicked or punched once or twice because I used to do a lot of Taekwondo, so I had him almost like, and my dad's like a teacher, so he knows like restraints and stuff and would practice on me because like I'm a little teenage nerd. And so I put him like in an arm lock and just like holding him there as just like Barat's face just right.
Oh God.
Eventually they let him go, and then he sprinted.
I've never seen
this
man run so fast in my life.
I've never seen Calvin run that fast, ever.
Oh, God.
I'm a truly terrible person, but I own it.
At least you admit it.
Yeah. That was even my favorite one as of recent. I convinced my friend that he has a bad case of chutzpah, which if you don't know is a Yiddish word.
Yeah.
Because I'm Jewish, so I grew up with all these Yiddish words, and he was going off about how he has some some sleep problem, but obviously like clearly didn't know what any of his problems actually were, so giving me the wrong terms. Like he was describing narcolepsy as if it was like sleep apnea. I'm like, those aren't the same thing.
No, they're not.
So like 4 of us were on call, and I was like, guys, what are the chances he actually knows what he's talking about? Nothing. And so they're all like, no way he knows. I was like, guys, what if I took dragon names and called them diseases and see if it'll get them there? That didn't work. So I'm like, let's throw a little bit of Yiddish in there. Let's say he has a bad case of chutzpah.
Oh,
and then we tailored chutzpah's disease to be exactly
our friend.
Hold on. That was the final step. First thing is I went into, because I know a lot of HTML and CSS. I went into Google into inspect mode, and I changed the definition and sent a screenshot of the new definition.
Fantastic. Oh my God.
That wasn't far enough for me. I took it a step further. I went to Mayo Clinic and then made a fake page just for chutzpah and all.
Oh my God. Yo, that beats clown makeup. That beats clown makeup by a mile.
It definitely does.
Oh my God.
What was worse is I went to Weebly, made a fake website that you could probably go to right now. And it's a fake one all for chutzpah recovery.
Oh my god.
I'm
Next time you'll be telling him about his verklempt symptoms.
Get schlep on his way down to the doctor for his tickets. Oh, I love that. That was like the best part of my week.
That sounds
That was
fantastic.
so good. And it was all like right after school.
That was so worth it.
Dude, straight respect. As a theater major who has listened to far too much Fiddler on the Roof, I do know. I know the
I respect
terminology.
that.
Oh man, so good.
Oh, he's like James has pulled off 2 extremely elaborate pranks, and I was a part of both of them.
Yo,
I just
teamwork.
It works
Makes
well.
the dream work.
Well, my parents used to prank me a lot and still do since I was a kid. So
Your parents prank you?
Oh yeah. It's a terrible thing, but honestly, it's worked. It's like the same way bullying your kid makes them actually like really.
Oh, do they prank you to teach you lessons?
They teach you lessons. Like,
oh, that's great.
Like my favorite one that's ever backfired, the one I tell everyone, like when my parents, like when they ask, like your parents seriously prank you. I once gave my dad a wedgie because I first learned about it, and my dad did not like that I did that. So he decided to put so like on sinks they have like the sprayer. Yeah. I don't know what the actual term is. So
nozzle?
I don't know. The spray thingy that you'll get attached and just spray a pan. He put a rubber band around it, so if you turn on the sink, it sprays.
Oh my god, I've done that.
My favorite part about this prank was I was 9 years old. My dad's like, go do dishes. I don't do dishes at 9. All right, I'm not that old. I can make you dishes, like I can get dishes on the sink, but I'm not doing it. So Dad was like, okay, I guess I'll go do dishes now. And he follows me into the room. I turn on the sink. It starts spraying water at me.
Oh my god!
I'm supposed to turn it off, right? Any logical person would turn it off. No, I turn around, bolted down the hallway, and my dad got 10 times far wet than I did because he had to rush up to the sink to go turn it off.
Oh my god, that's fantastic. What kind of lesson was he teaching you?
Don't give my dad wedgies or else
I get the wedgie. I had forgotten.
But my parents would pull that stuff even for shits and giggles because, like, I was deathly afraid of the Borg for a very long time from Star Trek. Yeah, from Star Trek. So we went to Goodwill one day and they found like a Borg like mask. And my dad was such a jerk with it. Like he put it in random places in the basement. I used to have a punching bag when I used to do karate. So he'd put the mask over the punching bag. And the worst one he's ever done to me, I was getting out of a shower. I opened the door.
Oh no.
Guy's staring there. My dad's 5'10", and I'm like 10 years old, and you just see this Borg daring down on me.
That's terrifying.
I've learned
Oh my god.
I will say I am a better person because of my parents' sarcasm, my parents' level of pranks they would go to.
Dude, like, yeah, my parents wouldn't prank me, but we did have this really terrifying, like 3.5 foot tall toy soldier. They'd typically break it out at Halloween and stuff, but like sometimes it would just be like perfectly aligned where the closet door would be open in the basement and it would be staring just out the door. And like in retrospect, I'm like, I wonder if my dad positioned it like that on purpose.
I probably would have.
Right? Like in retrospect, I'm like, yeah, I would do that to someone. They have no proof it was me. Oh man.
So yeah, wait, when I was little, I used to like sleep next to my parents' bed because I was terrified at night. I could not sleep on my own. And so one night I woke up in the middle of the night and my father is standing at the end of where I sleep. And he is like, he's like 5 foot, he's like 5'7". He's just looking down on me and I am terrified. And then I just like terrified. And then I went to sleep. Somehow.
Wait, why was he standing there?
Somehow I went to sleep. Okay. I wake up in the morning and then I asked my dad, he's like, was that you? And he was like, yeah, that was me. And I was like, what were you doing that night? And he's like, oh, I was just moving stuff on top of the shelf. I'm like, oh.
See, the scarier thing it could have been was like, if Stevie said like, no, that wasn't me.
No, that wasn't me.
Oh, that would have.
I think James has had one of those stories where you're the brother and Chica thing.
Okay. This might be our last story, but I'll tell it just
right.
because I feel like NoNat, you'll get a kick out of this one.
Let's go. End it off with a banger.
All right, so you know Five Nights at Freddy's?
I
Like how
do,
big of a
yes.
phrase that was? When it
Yeah.
first came out, it scared the living daylights out of me because I wasn't used to jump scares yet. So one
God, how
night,
old were you when that came out?
oh, like sixth
Like,
grade, so like
Yeah,
Oh
we were
my
definitely
God.
really
11,
young.
12.
yeah, that would have gotten me at that age. Even at like 18, 19.
That game still gets me now.
Yeah, it doesn't get me anymore, but mostly because I've watched Mark's playthrough of it like 4
That's the only
times.
way I watched like playthrough FNAF was just watching Markiplier go through it. So I went to bed one night and I used to be one of those people who would wrap themselves in the blanket like burrito
Oh
style.
yeah. Oh yeah, it's the best way to sleep.
Oh yeah, it's the most comfortable because all the blanket is you. So I went to bed one night after like this is like I think the first or second day of learning this game is, and I feel something underneath the covers. Like I wake up and there's something underneath the covers, and I'm like, what it could possibly be in my room. And so I'm freaking out because I feel something like brush up against my leg. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. And so I like curl up into a little ball and I'm freaking out. I grab my phone. I like, all right, flashlight. Like this could go. I'm so scared. I grab the covers, look under. Like I do like that 1, 2. And so I'm looking down under. I don't see anything except for just two little meaty arms grabbing the blanket and pulling it back down. And that was the most scared I've ever been for my life.
What was it? You said it was your brother?
Hold on, I didn't know that at that time. So I run out the room, go sleep on the couch. And now I have a very overactive imagination where if I don't see anything in the dark, I imagine something's in
Exactly.
the
Yeah, same. Hardcore same.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I envisioned there was Chica standing right at the hallway.
Wait, FNAF 1
watching
Chica or 2
FNAF
Chica?
1. So it's not even like it's the creepy robot one. Just staring, glaring at me. I'm like, I cannot sleep with this. So I go back to my room, phone in hand, flashlight. I grab like I think it was like a lightsaber or something like bludgeoning, and I just like I opened the door. I was like, all right, if you're in my room, make your presence known. And no response.
Oh no.
So I start poking like my bundle of blankets, no response. I kind of hit it a little bit. I'm so glad my brother wasn't in the bed. It's like there's nothing there. So I'm like, okay, moment of truth. I grab the blanket, rip it off. Nothing. Nothing is sitting there at all. I have no idea how I went back to bed that night, but I managed to fall asleep. And I wake up the next morning and I tell the story to my mom and dad, and they're like dying of laughter because they're them. And my brother, who's like 5 or 6 at this point, walks out of his room from his bed. Like, Zachary, did you sleep in my bed last night? And he goes, yeah, but you weren't there.
Wait.
That means this boy crawled into my bed, watched me freak out, stayed there for a couple minutes, and then ran out the room.
I expected this to be like an older brother prank. This was a little tiny kid.
This is a little kid, like the most innocent eyes telling you, yeah, but you weren't there.
Oh, that's freaking gold. Oh my, it's being like, he obviously wasn't trying to scare you. That's the best part.
Oh my god.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's the level of chaos that's in my house.
Dude, I love it. I'm not jealous of it, but I love it.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right, let's move into our final section.
All right.
Closing remarks.
Yeah,
Closing
NoNat,
remarks.
this is where we give our
So-
last minute thoughts about all of the episode. We want to leave it out on a bang.
Okay.
Essentially a TLDR of the whole episode.
I'm great. Subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter. I'm great.
I love it.
Cool. Yeah.
All
All right. We're done here.
All right. Bye.
Just straight up and leaves.
Bye.
Yeah. But no, if you want to start, I don't know how to do this section.
Okay. Bro, you could go first.
Oh, I'm the host. The host goes
Damn it.
last.
That means I have to go first. Oh no, I don't want to stop talking. Okay. It was absolutely great having someone I idolize come onto the show. Honestly, having all the anxiety, having all that built up to like what we got today is absolutely amazing. It was super fun. NoNat's honestly seriously chill dude. DM him. He's awesome. Don't bombard him, but just let him know he's cool. No, just thank you, NoNat, for like just being really cool with all this. Like, you could have easily said no, and honestly, a really fun 2 hours.
Yeah, no, I've had a blast. I want to thank you for having me on. This was super cool. It's the first podcast, like I said, I've ever really been a part of. I think I'm going to be on one in like December or something. But no, this was really cool. I'm really glad I said yes. This was a huge blast. Y'all are really, really cool. Had some fun conversations. Yeah, Barat.
Yeah. So my closing remarks. All right, my closing remarks. It's been great having you, NoNat. Honestly, this broke records. Like, this episode is the longest episode we recorded now.
I tend to talk a lot.
Our second last was our Halloween episode with like an hour and 44 minutes. But yeah, it's been great. Learned a lot of new stuff about Pathfinder, sitting and listening.
That's my goal.
Well, that's good. But yeah, thank you again for coming on.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say like, hey, follow Professional Idiocy on Twitter and stuff, but then I'm like, you're already watching and listening to it, so I don't
If you
think
made
that.
it this far in,
And if any other guests are listening, our DMs on Twitter are open. Hit us up.
Hit them up, guys. It's a lot of fun. It's a ton of fun.
All right.
All right.
All right. This has been Professional Idiocy, and we'll see you next week.